So I'm just going to minimize that so that doesn't bug anyone.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Oh, just so that the recording, it shows the video and everything. And sometimes looking at that can be distracting.
One for Mom.
Oh, God, no.
Yeah,
She's going to post that
one
on.
for Mom. No, she's not. Just open your eye.
That's the trouble with Facebook. See, I have no Facebook. I don't want people to know. I say if you want me to contact me, write a letter.
You let you use notes? Yeah, I might as well.
Well, did it say on there?
Yeah, it's not against it, you know.
How do they know that you have presented it?
Video.
Oh, that's right, too. Okay, yeah.
So, as you guys know, we're going to talk about like the 4-day work weeks, 10 hours a day, you know, versus like the 5 to 6 day work weeks, which is 8 hours a day, and how it's kind of like more, it might be more conducive for family people who, you know, maybe have kids and, you know, everything like that, that they kind of have to work in a bunch of things to their schedule to tack on and, you know, kind of make it a little bit more difficult to attend work every single day. And so yeah, many full-time workers right now are finding it a little bit difficult to juggle between going to work, taking care of the kids, making appointments, and getting through the rush hour traffic and everything like that. The average worker tends to need to separate time out of their work week in order to follow up into their appointments and including medical, education, and especially when they're taking care of kids, that can tack on maybe double to 3 times as many appointments and time that they need to take off away from work, especially if they're working 5 to 6 days a week. It kind of jumps in a bit. According to Harry Jackson of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, U.S. workers take an average of 14 sick days a year, which includes like appointments and everything like that they end up taking off because they couldn't grab the vacation time for this reason or whatever, you know. So also another thing that if you've ever noticed, you know, getting through traffic during rush hour, which is the casual, like maybe around 8 p.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m., you know, into, you know, getting out around 3, 4, 5 in the afternoon, you tend to hit rush hour traffic a lot. And that can be a bit difficult for a lot of people who, you know, are trying to make the time and everything like that. And it really depends on where you're from too and, you know, how your schedule plays out. If you got people to take care of in the morning, make sure that you send them off and, you know, get back during a certain time of day so that you can, you know, meet with those people or do anything like that. That can kind of be a little bit messy at times. So what the 4-day, 10-hour, you know, a day work week kind of presents is a possibility for people to attend all of these meetings and, you know, to set 1 day a week as work days tend to be the most, you know, conducive for people making appointments, as, you know, all workplaces, a lot of, you know, different kinds of places, businesses are open only during weekdays. They can take that one time a week, which might be on a Wednesday or, you know, whatever, any time in the middle of the week to kind of make and rush into all the appointments that they need to make before they have to ever consider, you know, taking a day off from work or, you know, kind of becoming a bit of a, you know, a problem for the workplace, you know, unexpectedly, like creating problems for their coworkers, managers, anything like that, which can be really disruptive in a lot of cases for some people in certain positions, definitely. So Sorry, I was just drifting off. Okay, so what a writer, Richard Eisenberg from Forbes Publishing or whatever it is, had mentioned is that for people such as baby boomers who tend to have a lot going on, they're also looking towards retirement and things like that. They need time to visit with grandchildren and, even children of their own, anything like that. And they're also kind of faced with, wanting to transition into retirement and kind of make time to kind of, get into that kind of mode and planning out things, take that time. And they don't really tend to get that. So sometimes a 4-day work week, maybe it doesn't even have to be 10 hours for people like that. You can maybe have just 8 hours a day or something like that. But it could help them transition into the lifestyle that kind of shifts over as you get a little bit older and everything. Then when, you're younger and you have more freed up time and you're more capable of putting in all that effort on, 4-day, any kind of day work week, especially if you're working 5 to 6 days a week, you get older, that's not exactly where you want to be spending your time. And sometimes, having the extra day would just be a huge benefit. So what I was mentioning about, the rush hour traffic, yeah, you can also get more free time with that. Do you guys have any questions? Is there anything you guys want to talk about, like maybe your opinions on it or anything?
I agree with a 4-day work week.
Oh yeah, like
I know the anti 4-day work week thinks that you don't get as much work done in the 8 to 10 hour range. But as far as I'm concerned, and I've been there, that knowing that you're going to have this extra day to get so much more done makes you work hard, those extra 2 hours, just knowing that you're going to have a whole extra day.
And yeah, that seems like a possibility.
2 hours extra work when you're already there doing it, as long as it's not I can understand a very hard physical labor may be different, but I was always in an office environment or out, with people, not difficult labor. But the incentive to have a whole day to get things done rather than just on the weekend when everyone else is out there doing it, it was an incentive to work hard those extra 2 hours.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I could see that being the same thing. That's how I feel too whenever I go in for maybe, sometimes we got 10 hour or 11 hour work days that we end up going in for, and I still feel like that kind of pushed throughout the entire day. And maybe that's, as Harvey had mentioned earlier today, is it is different when you're working like in a construction kind of position or something that is extremely heavy labor to actually get in. It's not very beneficial to spend 10 hours a day, but there are some people who could benefit from that kind of thing.
I think it depends on the job.
Yeah.
I've worked as much as 18 hours in a day.
Yeah, and that.
Great.
Yeah, that's gotta be out. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That was down here in Florida too.
Was that recently?
It was when I first moved down here. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, it's also even with school. I mean, on a Friday afternoon, we've all gone to school. How much do the kids actually care about their Friday schoolwork or what they're learning for the day? Same with the teachers. They're wearing jeans. They're just like, oh, I'll give you some homework maybe, but nothing really big.
Yeah.
So. It's kind of interesting also because something I had looked into, I think it might have been from CNN source or something like that I was reading into. But what they had mentioned was that there was a lady who had worked in an office building, and what she had found that was totally different was, as I was mentioning earlier, the commute in was a lot quicker.
Mm-hmm.
She was getting in around 6:30, but she was in before. I think she was trying to just test it out for like maybe someone had asked her in a report, and what she found out was that hour and a half or so before most other workers had come in, she was able to take that time to get settled in and get everything ready without it was kind of like more like is quieter. She was
Mhm.
able to focus more early in the morning, get a list of things ready, what she needed to get done before she had to interact with a bunch of people within the office.
And sometimes also when there's not everyone takes the same day off, so a lot of times it's quieter in the office every day because not everyone is there all the time.
Right, that would also, that'd be very interesting too. And
Yeah. I'm opposed to it because I was a business owner, and 8 hours a day was the maximum effort that we could get out of people.
Yeah.
right,
And I believe if you're worrying about, you ought to do like they do in Washington, D.C., and have staggered hours going into your office or your work or whatever you want to do. They do it around the Beltway. Baltimore Beltway is really noted for that.
Huh.
And so, even in lesser traffic areas, I can do that. But like I say, I'm for the 5 day, at least 5 days a week.
Yeah, and it definitely makes sense too for a lot of different people. Like, it certainly seems like in the end of it all, what it really is it all comes down to what your position is, what your lifestyle is, and what you're really aiming for with your career. If you want to be very successful and everything, you want to put in as much time as you possibly can.
So what's the staggered hours in Washington? What is that?
Okay, what it is, like they used to start right at 9 o'clock in the morning. Now they have like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, different departments.
Okay.
If you work
Because
9
they
to
have some
5, you work
super.
8 to 4, 7 to 3,
They
10 to 6.
And that helps with
11 to
traffic, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Right,
Yeah.
no.
They have the
Everyone's trying to get
Pentagon
going.
and
Yeah.
Meade bases there with all your intelligence
Yeah.
Mhm.
agencies and all that.
Okay.
So they have a terrific work.
And a lot of the
That's
cities like
interesting.
Boston, they don't have all the parking spaces, so a lot of people go in early to get the parking space. So if you're going in for 9, you gotta
You're in
look
trouble.
around.
Yeah.
That takes time to look for the parking space
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So staggered hours are good too.
Yeah.
But yeah. So,
That's interesting. I'll have to look into that and add that into this, definitely.
Yeah.
I still have a post right that I can do and everything
Yeah,
like that. It's interesting to think about staggered
but I mean,
hours.
staggered hours work with the 4-day week. Work with also.
Well, I think they do staggered hours for like middle school and high schools too. Because high schoolers generally go in before the middle schoolers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So the buses get them first.
Which
They
is-
have to wake up earlier, they get out earlier.
Which is opposite of what it should be.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think that there was
Exactly the opposite.
a source in Business Insider who looked towards kids who had also had 4-day work weeks, going to class and everything. What they had found is on average, those students who were attending class about 4 days a week, they had increased test scores of about, I think it was 12% in testing and 6% in writing and speech.
Mhm.
So it's kind of interesting also where those statistics exactly come from, like what kind of variables go into it. That's always something that I think about looking in towards. That doesn't exactly always get explained, but it is something kind of interesting to think about.
Also, a 4-day school week year round is something that I think should be considered also. Because this summer off started way back when the kids had to be out for the summer to work on the farms.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the haying and all the and all the gardening and all the produce and everything was done. That's why there was no school in the summer, because the kids had to work on the family farms. And now that's not so much so.
Mm-hmm.
And if kids could learn year round, I think education would be a little better. 4 days, I think, would be.
That'd probably be really good, yeah. Because, during the summertime, a lot of kids, maybe they just need a vacation, because what it comes down to, too, is it's also a lot of time that the parents got to kind of figure out. Some kids don't exactly get to do a lot in their summertime. It's
Right.
only certain kids who actually get to
Right.
have that opportunity.
Yeah, and there was some statistic that kids forget a lot of what they learned
Absolutely, yeah.
the year before during the summertime. It's
Yeah.
like what,
Yeah.
20% or something
Right.
ridiculous.
But by the end of the summer, they're bored and,
Yep.
That
Well,
could fit in with the 4-day.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. I was actually thinking about including that into it because the work could apply to them as well.
Yeah.
So this was kind of a really fun talk. This actually turned out really well, I think. Thanks so much, guys, for everyone's
Thank
input.
you.
Thank
yeah,
you.
it got us to thinking.
Yeah.
Good.
Something we haven't talked about before.
Yeah, good. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Cut off the video and see how that turns out. Hopefully, I'm just going to be sure that. Oh, don't worry, I'm just going to pull it
Be
over.
sure that it taped.
Yeah. I'm just hoping that as long as it actually got the audio in.